Good day and greetings from the Great White North. My name is Prickly Poo and welcome to day 325 of a year of change. I'm going to touch on something today that we talked a little bit about earlier on, either in the weekend or the week or at some point in the past few days we've talked about this. I've been wondering where my progress has been going in relation to terminology. And that's pretty much it. I follow, obviously the scale. There are those little off-scale victories that I like, being able to fit into pants, not jiggling for 12 minutes after I sneeze, stuff like that. Things that actually, tangible things. But I had mentioned as well that I wasn't quite sure if I was out of the morbidly section of obesity. Now, to give you a quick recap, number one, let's sort of preface this by saying that I'm only using the BMI calculation for this, which, as we know, is flawed beyond belief. There's a whole slew of things that are wrong with it. But for our purposes, for what I'm trying to do, as long as it's consistent throughout the whole thing, we're okay. And I'll tell you why it's so flawed once we get down to the normal weight stuff. So when I first started doing this, way back at the very beginning, at my heaviest, which was technically even right before I started actually doing this, I was at 325. That's the heaviest that I remember. And at that point, I was well into super obesity by quite a bit. There we go. For my height, anyway. Anything 305 pounds or over is super obese. There you go. So I was super obese plus another 20 pounds on top of it. So when I started doing this, I wanted to, that was sort of a, back burner goal, just to be a normal weight. Just like the literal classification of a normal weight. Obviously, want to be a normal, healthy weight, which is a good thing. So I don't remember when I actually had sort of brought it to you guys that I went from super down to morbidly. But the day that I actually passed over into that was in May. So about 2 or 3 months into the program, I guess, for lack of a better term, for the series. Anyway, I dipped down to 304. And at 304 pounds, then I was just morbidly obese, which makes me feel good. And I know that sounds so weird because it's still very bad. The word morbid is right in it. You can't hide from it. And there's a big gap there. I have some numbers I'm going to sort of do a cheat sheet on. So from 304 down to 271 for my height, that is morbidly obese. So I've got like a 33 pound gap there that I need to get rid of. So I went back, I started going through all the different stuff, and what I tried to do is say, okay, take the worst case scenario, start at a normal weight, and then go, there's, normal weight, overweight, obese, severely obese, morbidly obese, super obese, and you don't have anything higher than that. And that's where I was. So then I dropped down to morbidly obese, which, although it's very bad, is still a milestone for me. Getting to a point where I go, I'm only morbidly obese. This is great. It's still terrible, I know, but we know what, it doesn't take much for us to be pleased. So I went, all right, I'm going to follow sort of the BMI that, at the lowest number where it takes to be morbidly, which for me is 271 pounds. It's going to be different for different people with height and weight and everything else, but in general, and then the BMI, there's some debate as to whether it's 35 or 40 or 45 or whatever it is. So I decided to go, good enough, I'm going to say, let's try to make sure I do this right. There we go. From 40 to 44.9 BMI, that is morbidly obese. That's the lowest number I could find. So at 40, then boom, right into morbid. It can go up, there's a difference of like 5 or 6 points for each one, and they're debated because they think, well, it's different for men than women, and all the other factors combined. For what we're trying to do, that's the number I went with. And I think that's the number that I went with before as well, when I started saying, all right, I want to take a look and see where I'm standing, because I wanted to take the worst case scenario. That when I finally drop down into another bracket, say from super to morbid, I don't want there to be any doubt. And me saying, well, I'm technically morbidly obese. And then someone going, well, there's a 3 or 4 number difference that you're still super. And, maybe you didn't drop down yet. So you have to reach the, the extreme side of it. So that's what I wanted to do. So I took that and went, good enough. BMI of 40 is when you go from, from 40 to 44.9 is when you go from super to morbidly. And when I started, my BMI was around 48, to give you an idea. So a tremendous amount of weight. What I found, though, is that when I started going through my history and everything else, I actually did drop down out of morbidly obese quite a while ago. My progress has been very, very slow, I noticed, over the past few months. Back in May, I went from super to morbid, and then in September, at the end of September on the 27th, that's Sunday, at the end of September, I dropped from morbidly to severe. I'm only, and I haven't moved from there. I'm still in that bracket for the next 37, 38 pounds. No, wait, sorry. No, that's wrong. Ignore that part. I'm looking at the wrong numbers because there's a range. Basically anything from my height, anyway, from 237 to 270, that is severely obese or severe obesity, however you want to look at it. I really hate the word obese because it's just the worst word in the world. I can handle someone saying fat, but when you hear that word obese, it's ugh. There's a whole connotation that goes along with it, where it's so much grosser than just being fat, which I know it's the same thing, and I know that we've said, you know what, no, we're going to call things as they are. Ugh, still don't like it. Anyway, so back in September, I dropped from morbidly down to severe, which again still sounds horrible, and no one should be there, but it's still better than morbidly, and which is better than super. So I've dropped down into another category. Since September, I've lost around 30 pounds, which now that I think about it is not that bad. The end of September, so beginning of October, yeah, it's been almost 4 months. It's been very, very slow. And admittedly, that's my own fault. Not paying attention and, not doing what I need to do every day on my treadmill, which I started yesterday again. Did it all the way through. Walked for 10, ran for 10, walked for 10, ran for 10, walked for 10, ran for 10. So, I feel like I'm back on track with that. So that's what I'm going to be doing for the next week at least to keep that, where it should be. And then gradually start adding another minute on there again. So anyway, stick to the topic. So back in September, I dropped down to severe. At this stage, I am about 3.2 pounds away from dropping out of severe into just regular, good old-fashioned obesity, which is still bad, but there's no qualifier in front of it, which makes me feel very, very good. For my height, and I put my height in at 5'9". It's like 5'8.5" or 5'9". Somewhere in there is my height. Once I hit 236, then, I'm just doing this as, 0.0. I'm not worrying about it's 236.7. It's just 236. At 236, then my BMI will be 34.9. And at that point, I drop out of severe into just obesity, just regular, which is still very bad. But because right now I'm at 35.5 for a BMI. So I have about another 3.5 pounds to go before I actually hit that. No, wait. Yeah, that's right. 236. I'm currently 240.2. So I need to lose 4.2 pounds because I can do math. Shut up. So roughly 4.5 pounds. And then I will drop down another bracket. Then after that, then things sort of go kind of weird because this is where like the measurements sort of go weird. Because anywhere between 160, this is what it tells me, for my height, anywhere between 169 to 202 is considered overweight. Now, my goal right now is to get to around 175. All right. The main reason why I did that is because, if you remember way back at the beginning, I went through and I took a look at, I really have no frame of reference. I don't want to look at bodybuilders and I don't want to look at normal people that I know because it's creepy. But I took a look at different celebrities and went, you know what, if I could have that body shape, I'd be content. I didn't look at people that were, ripped or like action stars or anything like that. These are people that have a normal body. And went, that, I would be very happy with that. Not even just content. I would be very pleased with that. So, and it averages around to about 175. So from 169 to 202, even though that's my target, it still says I'm going to be overweight. And this is where the BMI sort of goes weird, because it doesn't take into account fat or muscle or anything else. It just goes by height and weight. That's it. So here's the weird thing. For me to be a normal weight, it says I need to be, I'm going to look at my numbers again. I need to be somewhere between 168, which would be, for me, I think, pretty thin. It's only a 7-pound difference than my goal, but still. So anywhere between 168 and 125 pounds. 125 pounds for me would be really, really thin. And then anything under 124 pounds, 124 and under would be underweight. So once I get to my normal weight, I'm not going to keep following this, obviously, because I think if I went, all right, well, I need to sort of meet in the middle. There we go. So 140 pounds. No, that's insane. I would look really, really weird. I'd be emaciated and just kind of all the way around. So once we get down past like the morbid and the severe and everything else, and I'm still going to use it with the obesity thing, but once you start hovering into overweight, normal weight, that's when it's kind of time to discard that and go, all right, now I need to really look at, body fat content, and, it's probably going to take extra skin into account as well. I never even thought of that. But just all these other things, we can't just go by height and weight anymore at that stage. Sorry. I'm comfortable doing that with severe and morbid and super, because I think it sort of fits with what I'm trying to do. And I don't think I have a lot of muscle mass to really worry about to go, no, it's all muscle mass, or it's water weight or anything else. No, it's fat. And I know it's fat. And as long as I can accept that, then we're okay. But I've been out of morbid obesity for the past, October, November, December, January. Yeah, for the past 4 months at least. 4.5 months almost. So I can see where it's sort of slowing down. I mean, it took 4 months, about 4 months and 2 weeks to drop out of that last bracket. So 4 months and 2 weeks to drop out of this one, which has been going a little bit longer than it should. But at least I know, okay, you know what? Things are good. I'm still on the same path. Overall, I'm still losing the same amount that I want to lose. I'm not dropping it too quickly. I'm not spending weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks on a plateau. I'm certainly not gaining, which is even better. And yeah, I have bad, like this last week, I lost less than half a pound. But the week before that, I lost quite a bit. And then this week I might lose some more. So it's going to even out in the end. But it was kind of nice to be able to look at that and say, I've gone from super down to morbid, down to severe. And hopefully in the next 4.5 pounds, I'm thinking 2 weeks. In the next 2 weeks, maybe 3 weeks, which is very, very near the end, I will be dropping out of that. So I might still end this. I mean, I know I still have a long way to go, but even if I end that 100 pounds, I'll still be obese. Yuck. Very loud car out in the yard. Street in the yard. So I'm still going to be obese by the time this is done, which is kind of disconcerting, but a little discouraging, which is probably a more accurate word. But the fact that, we've done that we've gone down, even if you've only gone down one bracket, even if you're still sort of stuck up there, there are some that have started out, 500-600 pounds, and that they've cut, even if you're cutting back, and you lose 150 or 200 pounds, we're still sort of stuck in that bracket. But when you look at, proportionally, how much that people have lost, you're going down in brackets. And it's nice to be able to look at that progress. And I mean, I have my pants fit a little bit better, and I have, the numbers on the scales are going down. But it's strange because to be able to say I'm no longer morbidly obese, even though I'm still severely obese, like the severe is still a bad term all the way around, no matter how you look at it. But I don't know, there's a difference. Yeah, it's different. I don't know how to explain it. It just feels better. And if I can if I can drop down another bracket before the end of the series, couldn't think of the word, I'm going to be very, very happy. I may not hit that 100-pound mark, which I was really hoping to do, but I can't imagine over the next 5 weeks that I'm not going to lose that 4 pounds, 4.2 pounds, and drop into that next bracket, which would be very, 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 very good for me anyway. And it's, I don't want to say exciting because it's not really exciting, but it makes me feel good that, I'm further along than I thought I was, because I assumed for a very long time that I'm still stuck in morbid. I I had forgotten about severe, to be honest with you. I thought it just went super, morbid, something else, and then regular. But it showed you how long it's been since I took a look at it. But I did sort of a quick once over with everything and thought, you know what? I'm going to do some math and figure this out and use a calculator. The actual BMI calculator that you can find from the National Institute of Health. You can go up and take a look there. And I use those numbers to try to figure things out. So again, it's not entirely accurate. I'm not worrying about, you know, body fat and bone density and all the other stuff that should be going into it. I'm mainly looking at my height and my weight, and I know I have a tremendous amount of fat still on me. I've still got another 70 pounds at least that I need to get rid of. 65, 70, somewhere around there. So I know that I'm still comfortable using it at this stage. Once I get down to a point where it's, you know, probably under 200, then I'm going to start going, BMI is pretty much kaput at this stage. And then we sort of need to look at some more sciencey methods. Because really trying to figure out what your body mass is in comparison to like fat versus muscle or anything else, it's a little bit different once you start getting down to that normal weight range. And then I think they sort of combine everybody in there as well. Like 125 to 170 is a big gap. Someone my height at 170 probably looks okay. Someone looking 125 pounds looks really, really bad in general. Now I'm talking about men and women are going to look different, so maybe that's what they're looking at, is going, well, 125 is the borderline for women, 170 is a border for men, or the other way around. I don't know. But I would imagine that that's sort of, they must have taken something into account that way, because it's a huge, huge range to have. And depending on what you look like, you could look really, really good, or you could look really, really bad, one way or the other. So we'll sort of throw that aside once we get down to a regular sort of overweightness-fullness. But in the meantime, I'm content to stay where I am. Well, not stay where I am. I want to keep going. But I'm content that I'm, you know, down 2 brackets from super to morbid to severe. So I have severe obesity, which is bad, but it's not going to be as severe in the next few weeks, which is really, really nice to know. So I'm not sure where you stand with yours. I mean, where you started, where you're going to be heading and things like that. It's a little difficult if you are, you know, if you look at your BMI alone and you find that it's over 45, even though you've lost, you know, say 100 or 200 pounds. You know, but for some of you that have lost 20 or 30 pounds, you're going to be dropping down into another bracket. But for those of you that are still up there, just keep going. It's, you know, we aren't done by a long shot. We've got a few weeks left just to sort of end the series. But we know what we need to do. You'll be able to keep going. You'll be able to keep dropping the weight. You'll be able to drop down in those categories. And eventually you will get to, you know, roughly where you need to be. I think it's going to be a very, very long time for a lot of us. And it's going to be a lifelong struggle to sort of get through it. But I think at the end of this year, that struggle isn't going to be nearly as hard as we thought it was going to be. We've lost a lot of weight so far. We've made a tremendous amount of progress. And if you had told us a year ago that we would have been doing this, there's no way we would have been able to. It's getting to a point now when I hear people say, oh, they lost 50 pounds. You go, oh, good for you. I don't have that big shock. Oh, my God, that's a tremendous amount to lose all at once, which it is. It's a lot of weight to lose. It's just it has a different feel now because we have a little bit more perspective, and we've lost quite a bit. We've changed a tremendous amount. And we've, for some of us anyway, we've dropped in brackets, which is always good. So keep going. You will be able to get to where you need to be. And even if it takes a while to get out of that super category, which, I mean, it did for me. It took, well, months and months and months for me to get out of it. And then just, you know, down into morbid, which took me another set of months and months and months. Months, either one. But in general, I mean, keep going because you are going to be able to make it. And we've shown that we can make progress. We're going to have our ups and our downs as we always do, but overall, long term, we've been making tremendous progress. And we just need to keep on doing that. And overall, it's going to get easier. It'll get a little bit slower, but it's going to get easier. So for right now, I'm going to leave this video here. So thank you very much for watching. If you liked it, please poke the like button for me. And in the meantime, keep yourself warm and fuzzy, and I will see you in the next video. Bye-bye.